Okay, here's a quick video I'm going to make of how I do these marginal ridges on composites. I used to make them really flat where they're really even across, but I've learned how to make this much more anatomical and look prettier. Now, I'm not like a Jason Smithson or a Velo geek, but I'm just a general dentist, and this is how I do it, and this might help you out. It took me a while to figure this out, so you might like this. So I don't have a matrix, I don't have a ring, nor do I have a wedge right here, because this is my old Typodont from dental school. I just found an old prep that I had. I like to use apex surpassed. So imagine I've placed surpassed. I've placed my first layer of flowable, and I have done the light cure for 10 seconds. I like to do how John Kenko teaches, and light cure the composite, the flowable composite with the bond. After I place my first increment of composite, I like to use this micro brush. I learned this from Jason Smithson, where I like to compress the composite down with my micro brush, and I find that gives me very little voids on an x-ray. I get a very good seal, and I have the ability to push the composite to the edges of the matrix very nicely. But this is how I like to do my marginal ridges. I apologize if this video is shaky. I'm holding it and I am trying to show you. So I like to put my composite in, and imagine this is my final increment for the top layer. I like to overfill it a little, and then I like to take my gold composite instrument from Garrison, and this is broken, so this is a demo one, but I like to push it down as always, just like most of you probably do. I'll push it down, and usually I have my orange light filter on, but this is just ambient light. And then I like to take the acorn end, and I like to drag it. I find I like to drag it from the occlusal fossa to the ridges. And this is how I get nice marginal ridges that aren't flat. I like to take the flat end of this plastic instrument, and like I said, this is going to be hard because I'm trying to record this and do it. But I like to, let me focus this a little better for you. I like to do this. I lay it against the remaining tooth structure, and I use this angle to help me flick this top part off. I'll run it kind of smoothly across like this, and using the adjacent ridges, this is how I get the ridge that I like. Now certainly in the mouth it may be different, but the angulations, and sometimes I can't do it both sides with this plastic instrument, but you can see how I'm laying it across. Now a tip for you that I'll tell you is I tend to make these ridges higher much early on when I was doing this. So one thing is most people tend to make them higher, then you have to adjust it down. So really follow the ridges and to give you a guide, yourself a guide, and that way we get this nice ridge. So that's what I'm doing right here, and it looks much more anatomical than a flat ridge. And then there's usually, let me focus this a little more, excess flash. So I like to take my Explorer, and then I'll just use the sharp end of the tip of the Explorer to once again follow the contours of the remaining tooth structure to remove any residual composite that I see. And so this will make less time for you to use like a carbide 7901 burr or something to polish it. So that's that. And as you can see, the ridges look much more natural. And so I don't have my curing light here, but obviously I would cure it, and then I would take the band off, I check the bite and polish it and flash. But that's a way of how I do it to get these nice ridges instead of typically how I used to do it, just compress it down early in my career, and it would be flat across the ridges and there's not much anatomy to it. So I hope this helps somebody here. Cool, bye.